What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your third stimulus check update. Crazy news and a crazy night going on. Yeah. I'll tell you first what happened to me last night. Secondly, I'll tell you what passed in the Senate this morning and overnight. And then third, we're going to hear directly from President Biden on the third stimulus check package. There's a lot of movement and shocking news on the third stimulus check package going on. Okay, first, I'll tell you what happened to me last night. So, I was born with a small defect in my spine. One of my bottom vertebrae is not fully fused, and it causes me pain from time to time. Well, about 2 years ago, when our son Julian was born, and about 6 months in, he was just very, very fussy. And to the fussy to the point where me and my wife had to hold him, and we had this baby wrap, and we would bounce him and well, nonetheless, it went on day after day after day after day. And I didn't notice it until it was too long. But basically, having a bowling ball or two on your chest and bouncing for hours because your baby's crying all the time, well, that led to me like rupturing my back. So since then, for the last 2 years, I'm in pain every day. Somewhere between, on a scale 1 to 10, like a 2 to a 6. I'm in pain every day. So the main thing that helps me is just sitting down and elevating my legs and just kind of taking the pressure off my lower back is the main thing that helps. Well, yesterday I was in a lot of pain and I took some CBD oil because I take it from time to time. Sometimes I feel like it helps and sometimes I feel like it doesn't. Advil and Tylenol, I take that too, but it doesn't seem to help me at all or very little. So I took some CBD and then a couple hours went by. I think I made like the 8 p.m. video. And then I was in so much pain. I'm like, I'm going to take another one because I'm just in so much pain. Well, it's safe to say that that second dose of CBD oil almost knocked me out because the room was spinning, my arms were tingling, and I felt like I was going to die. And strangely enough, this is actually the second time this has happened, but the first time it happened, we weren't sure why it happened. We weren't sure if it was from the CBD oil, if I was getting vertigo that day or whatnot. So nonetheless, I basically spent about 12 hours in bed last night, and that is why I did not do an 11 p.m. video. Actually, what happened is, as I started to feel the effects coming on, I kind of sensed what it was. So I made the 11 p.m. video real quick, but then I noticed that I was not doing good at all. So I actually set that to schedule and go live for the 10 a.m. video. So that's why I didn't have an 11 p.m. video. So needless to say, I'm doing better now. I'm still in pain, but at least the side effects of overdosing on that or whatever allergic reaction or whatever happened with that is gone, at least for now. I'm still in a lot of pain, but yeah, it kind of got me to thinking there when I was laying in bed last night that life is short and you really should, try to make the most out of life. Tell your loved ones, tell your family that you love them, because I was sitting there thinking, God, could you imagine if something happened to me and I wasn't able to see my son grow up and be there for my family? And it was just kind of a very sad like realization. So I guess my inspiration for you this morning is life is short. Tell your family you love them, Zoom call them, see them, spend time with them, do whatever you got to do. And just remember that make the most out of life. Always think positive and be looking forward because, again, you only got one life to live. So you might as well make the best of it. So that's my inspiration to you for this morning. Hope it helps a little bit. Okay, now that I got that off my chest and I'm actually able to get out of bed, let's get into some breaking stimulus check news on the third stimulus check package, because apparently I wasn't the only one that was up all night. Apparently the Senate was also. And then we will hear directly from President Joe Biden on the third stimulus check. Okay, as you can see here, right here from CBS News, Senate passes $1.9 trillion COVID relief resolution after an all-night vote-a-rama. And this is actually the procedure. This is actually a real name for a procedure of part of the reconciliation process to pass the $1.9 trillion stimulus, the third stimulus check package. As you can see here, the Senate passed a budget resolution very early Friday morning, a key step for the Democratic-controlled Congress to pass President Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID-19 relief proposal, without any Republican votes. The 51 to 50 vote, and this is important here because this is exactly what we've been talking about on the channel over the past few weeks to use the reconciliation card. Notice that there's a 51st vote there. Vice President Kamala Harris making the tie-breaking vote came after an all-night marathon vote-a-rama. The vote-a-rama included 41 votes with dozens of amendments considered. Vice President Harris cast her first tie-breaking vote as vice president, allowing the resolution to finally pass shortly before 6 a.m. with support from all 50 Democratic senators. So again, that's important there. All 50 senators voted together. All 50 Democratic senators, I should say, voted together. All 50 Republicans voted no to the third stimulus check package, to this resolution of the third stimulus check package. And Vice President Kamala Harris was the tiebreaker vote to pass this resolution going forward. The Senate also voted on another one to reject a major component of the Biden plan, raising the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour. In a voice vote, senators narrowly approved an amendment from Iowa Republican Joni Ernst that would ban the $15 an hour federal minimum wage increase during the pandemic. However, the increase could still be restored when the final measure is hashed out. Passing a budget resolution is part of the process known as reconciliation, which allows legislation to pass in the Senate with only a simple majority instead of the typical 60 vote threshold, meaning Democrats would be able to greenlight it without any Republican votes. But Republicans forced Democrats to go on record with a series of votes on a slew of amendments in the politically painful vote-a-rama. The House passed the budget resolution earlier this week. Now that both the House and the Senate of Congress have approved the resolution, which serves as the vehicle for the legislation, committees can begin formulating a reconciliation bill itself. The final reconciliation bill will receive a day of debate and then another vote-a-rama before a vote in both chambers. So basically, the Senate has now passed another resolution moving us forward with the third stimulus check package. This is part of that extra process that they need to do to pass the bill through the reconciliation process. And this is basically because no Republicans are voting yes on the bill. As you've seen, the vote for this was 51 to 50. 50 Republicans said no to this resolution on the third stimulus check package, and 50 Democrats said yes, with the tie-breaking vote going to Vice President Kamala Harris. As you also notice there, that they initially voted down the $15 an hour minimum wage increase. This is just one portion of it, so this can still be voted on again, as we noted there in the article. But basically, I don't have the votes there, but there must have been at least one Democrat that voted no. And what they said is that they don't want to do it during the pandemic. So, and it kind of makes sense because for businesses to pay more for labor now, when literally 1 in 5 small businesses have already gone out of business during this pandemic and more are going out of business every day, it does make sense on that side. But of course, if you see it from the other side, people making minimum wage can't afford a living wage, then you're kind of in a pickle, because it's like, what do you do? Like, either way, you're in trouble, right? Either way, you're hurting somebody. So let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comments. Next up, let's go to President Joe Biden, who has spoken just moments ago on the third stimulus check package to give us a lot more clarity and answers.
I'm accompanied by the Vice President and the Secretary of Treasury, Janet Yellen, and I want to talk today about our plan. And the January job numbers came out today. And while we're grateful for everyone who found work and is earning a paycheck, it's very clear our economy is still in trouble. We added just 6,000 private sector jobs in the country last month. Overall, we added 49,000 jobs. And this at a time when we have more than 10 million people out of work. 4 million people have been out of work for 6 months or longer. and 2.5 million women have been driven from the workforce. 15 million Americans are behind in the rental payments. 24 million adults and 12 million children literally don't have enough food to eat. These aren't Democrats or Republicans, they're Americans, and they're suffering. They're suffering not because of anything they did. Through no fault of their own, they're suffering. Once-in-a-century virus has decimated our economy, and it's still wreaking havoc on our economy today. And so much of it is still about the virus. We're still in the teeth of this pandemic. In fact, January was the single deadliest month of the whole pandemic. We lost nearly 100,000 lives. I know some in Congress think we've already done enough to deal with the crisis in the country. Others think that things are getting better and we can afford to sit back and either do little or do nothing at all. That's not what I see. I see enormous pain in this country. A lot of folks out of work, a lot of folks going hungry, staring at the ceiling tonight wondering, what am I going to do tomorrow? A lot of folks trying to figure out how to keep their jobs and take care of their children. A lot of folks reaching the breaking point. Suicides are up, mental health needs are increasing, violence against women and children is increasing. A lot of folks are losing hope. And I believe the American people are looking right now to their government for help, to do our job, to not let them down. So I'm going to act, and I'm going to act fast. I'd like to be doing it with the support of Republicans. I've met with Republicans. There's some really fine people who want to get something done, but they're just not willing to go as far as I think we have to go. I've told both Republicans and Democrats that's my preference to work together. But if I have to choose between getting help right now to Americans who are hurting so badly and getting bogged down in a lengthy negotiation, or compromising on a bill that's up to the crisis, that's an easy choice. I'm going to help the American people who are hurting now. That's why I'm so grateful to the House and the Senate for moving so fast on the American Rescue Plan. Here's what's in that plan. First, it puts $160 billion into our national COVID-19 strategy, which includes more money for manufacturing, distribution, and setting up of vaccine sites, everything that's needed to get the vaccines into people's arms. There's simply nothing more important than us getting the resources we need to vaccinate the people in this country as soon, as quickly as possible. So job number one of the American Rescue Plan is vaccines. Vaccines. The second, the American Rescue Plan is going to keep the commitment of $2,000, $600 has already gone out, $1,400 checks to people who need it. This is money directly in people's pockets. They need it. We need to target that money, so folks making $300,000 don't get any windfall. But if you're a family that's a wage earner, each of the parents, one making 30 grand, one making 40 or 50, maybe that's a little more than, well, yeah, they need the money, and they're going to get it. And here's what I won't do. I'm not cutting the size of the checks. They're going to be $1,400, period. That's what the American people were promised. Very quickly, here's the rest of my plan. It has money for food and nutrition so that folks don't go hungry. I think our Republican friends are going to support that. It extends unemployment insurance, which is going to run out on March 13th of this year to the end of September of this year, because we're still going to have high unemployment. It helps small businesses, thousands of whom have had to go out of business. It has money to help folks pay their health insurance. It has rental assistance to keep people in their homes rather than being thrown out on the street. It's got money to help us open our schools safely. It has money for child care, for paid leave. It gets needed resources of state and local governments to prevent layoffs of essential personnel, firefighters, nurses, folks, school teachers, sanitation workers. It raises the minimum wage. It's big and it's bold, and it's a real answer to the crisis we're in. That's one more thing, and I want to say it very clearly on this, be very clear on this point. It's better economics. It not only addresses the immediate crisis we're in, it's better for the long-term economic health of our nation and our competitiveness. My plan creates more jobs, creates more economic growth, and does more to make us competitive with the rest of the world than any other plan. Don't take my word for it. Just look at what leading economists across the nation have said and in the world and across the ocean have said. Wall Street investment firm Moody's says, if we pass the American Rescue Plan, it will lead to 4 million more jobs than otherwise would be created. The nonpartisan Brookings Institution has looked at the American Rescue Plan and said the GDP will reach pre-pandemic projections by 2021, meaning we'll have recovered by end of 2021. Much sooner, by the way, than if we do nothing. Look, just this week, the Congressional Budget Office projected that if we don't take action, it would take until the year 2025 to return to full employment. There's also a growing chorus of top economists, right, center, left, that say we should be less focused on the deficit and more focused on the investments we make and can make now in jobs, keeping families out of poverty, and preventing long-term economic damage to our nation. The simple truth is, if we make these investments now, with interest rates at historic lows, we'll generate more growth, higher incomes, a stronger economy, and our nation's finances will be in a stronger position as well. And the payoff won't just be in jobs, but in our global competitiveness as well, because we'll be regaining our economic strength faster. So, the way I see it, the biggest risk is not going too big if we go too small. We've been here before. When this nation hit the Great Recession that Barack and I inherited in 2009, I was asked to lead the effort on the Economic Recovery Act to get it passed. It was a big recovery package, roughly $800 billion. I did everything I could to get it passed, including getting 3 Republicans to change their votes and vote for it. But it wasn't enough. It wasn't quite big enough. It stemmed the crisis, but the recovery could have been faster and even bigger. Today, we need an answer that meets the challenge of this crisis, not one that falls short. And that's the issue facing the country right now. What Republicans have proposed is either to do nothing or not enough. All of a sudden, many of them have rediscovered fiscal restraint and the concern for the deficits. But don't kid yourself. This approach will come with a cost. More pain for more people for longer than it has to be. Secretary Yellen talks about the scarring effect that comes with prolonged economic pain. We see that scarring effect in economic data, but more important, we can see it in the lives of people living with long-term unemployment, living in hunger, at wit's end over how to keep their jobs, take care of their kids. And then she talks about the need to alleviate long-term suffering in the economy. We can do that. We don't have to wait until 2025 to get back to full employment, which will be the case if we don't do this. Again, independent analysis from places like Moody's on Wall Street, Brookings Institution, the American Rescue Plan could achieve that by the beginning, full employment by the beginning of next year. So to me, this is what this moment comes down to. Are we going to pass a big enough package to vaccinate people, to get people back to work, to alleviate the suffering in this country this year? That's what I want to do. Or are we going to say to millions of Americans who are out of work, many of whom have been out of work for 6 months or longer, who've been scarred by this economic and public health crisis, don't worry, hang on, things are going to get better. We're going to go smaller, so it's just going to take us a lot longer, like until 2025. That's the Republican answer right now. I can't in good conscience do that. Too many people in the nation have already suffered for too long through this pandemic and economic crisis. And telling them we don't have the money to alleviate their suffering, to get to full employment sooner, to vaccinate America after $8 trillion in deficit spending over the past 4 years, much of it having gone to the wealthiest people in the country. We do have the tools to reduce a lot of suffering in this country. We just have to choose to use them. So it's time to act. We can reduce suffering in this country. We can put people back to work. We can gain control of this virus. That's what the American Rescue Plan does. And that's what I'm determined to do. And that's what I hope we're going to be able to do in the near term. So may God bless you all. May God protect our troops. And I truly believe real help is on the way. Thank you all so very much. Thank you.
Wow, so a lot there. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments and hit the like button for me if you haven't yet. Remember, I will have more videos coming out every single day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m., and 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free. And click the bell icon to all notifications so you get notifications when we go live for the first 3 videos of the day. The 11 p.m. video, you just got to tune in on your own time. Remember, those are Eastern Standard Time. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. Thanks for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.